For some time, people have been searching for Bigfoot. In fact, a team of scientists and researchers are expanding their search. And today, we're speaking with Cliff Barackman, the star from Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot. Hey Cliff, how are you doing?
I'm doing great today. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much. How did you start out even getting interested in Bigfoot in the first place?
Well, I think I've always been kind of weird. Tell me any little boy that doesn't love monsters. I grew up in the 1970s watching, In Search of and all that stuff on TV in the 1970s. So I've always been fascinated with the subject. But it wasn't until college when I ran across a collection of scholarly papers written by anthropologists, both physical anthropologists and cultural anthropologists, that I started realizing, like, holy smokes, not only is Bigfoot fun and interesting and kind of quirky, but they might be real species as well. So about 20 years ago, I started doing field research, and ever since then, I've never looked back.
What do you say to people who might say, and I'm sure you've heard it, what do you say when they say, you're crazy, this is crazy, all of this is crazy?
My sanity doesn't do anything to say whether Bigfoots are real or not. The evidence does. Bigfoot's reality, like the species reality, doesn't depend on anybody's belief whatsoever, not even my own. The data is there. The data suggests that Bigfoots are in fact a real species of North American primate.
Now, what do you say to people who, we have all this technology now. We have cell phones, we have GPS. Do you think that with this technology we are closer to maybe capturing it on video, audio, something like that?
Absolutely, and actually, as better technology has gotten into the hands of the layperson, more and more films purporting to show Sasquatches have come forth. Now, certainly a certain percentage of those are hoaxes. However, Bigfoots are real animals, right? So a certain percentage of those films actually show Bigfoots. And it's kind of my job as a Bigfoot investigator to kind of separate the wheat from the chaff, to try to figure out which ones might be authentic. And if I determine it to be authentic, or if I believe it to be, then what can I learn from it?
Now, what do you say to, if someone were like, I'm going to go search for a Bigfoot, where do you think they have the best chances of finding one?
Well, Bigfoots have been sighted in every single state in the Union except for Hawaii. So if you live in some sort of town in some sort of state in America, there's a national forest or some sort of state preserve not far from you that just might have had a sighting at some point. So see if there's a sighting nearby. Look for food, water, and cover, and a concentration of animals. Wherever that happens, there's a likelihood that a Bigfoot might wander through there every once in a while.
Yeah, here in Georgia we had a hoax not too long ago where they said they had the body of a Bigfoot. I don't know if you recall that.
Absolutely, the 2008 Georgia hoax, right.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to a convention this weekend, the Bigfoot convention in Dahlonega. What should I expect? Have you been to one before?
Oh, I've been to a lot of them. Actually, a good friend of mine is speaking there in the coming week here. No, hoaxes do happen, but when you go to these conventions that you're going to go to here, do yourself a favor and speak to a couple witnesses, because it's easy to write off, oh, Bigfoot's not real or whatever. But when you start speaking to maybe a dozen witnesses or even a half dozen witnesses and look at their eyes, look at their body language, ask yourself, what do they have to lose? What do they have to gain? And after you speak to a number of these, it's really hard to write off the whole thing as a hoax.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your tips. We really appreciate it. To learn more about this Bigfoot phenomenon, you can head over to cbsatlanta.com and click on our entertainment and events page. I'm Jennifer Banks for cbsatlanta.com.